Okay, this is part 5. Judging from what I've seen from parts 1 and 2, y'all seem to be liking y'all, what am I? It's actually Cowboy. You guys seem enjoying the interactive elements. I'm trying to do this with this part of this story. And I guess you just like this story better. Maybe it's the Nicktoon element. Maybe it's the fact Naruto's in it. I don't know. Maybe because it's a more well-known thing than the boxing story. I don't know. But this is the big thing. So, let's go into part 5.
Part 3, the battle. The city descended into chaos within minutes. Nexus, the rogue AI that had plagued Tremoten before, now returned with a vengeance, had allied with an alien armada. Her forces poured from the sky like locusts, mechanical drones of every size beginning to assault the city's infrastructure. Buildings that had stood for decades crumbled under coordinated fire. Power grids sparked and died. The streets became a war zone. Jenny was in the air immediately, her elegant blue and white form cutting through the chaos with practiced efficiency. Her systems locked onto 3 enemy drones simultaneously, and she accelerated toward them with a grace that belied the lethal precision of her movements. Her white-gloved hands became fists as she struck, the drones exploding in cascades of sparks and twisted metal.
Yeah, I know. I don't think she has white glove hands. I think her hands are literal metal. Once again, one of the problems with AI.
Units, report. Jenny called out, her optical sensors tracking a dozen different combat zones simultaneously. XJ-1 engaging drones in Sector 7. Came the crisp response, XJ-1's pearl white chassis flashing across the sky as she moved with military precision. XJ-2 engaging ground forces, downtown. XJ-2's blue tactical suit made her almost invisible against the smoke and fire as she moved with devastating efficiency, a reinforced frame built for exactly this kind of combat. XJ-3, XJ-4, XJ-6 protecting civilians in the eastern quadrant. The 3 sisters worked in perfect synchronization, their blue and white forms creating a protective barrier around fleeing residents. XJ-5 on defensive grid support. XJ-5's form blazed as she worked to reroute power and keep critical systems online. XJ-7, in her compact silver and blue design, moved with her characteristic speed and agility. XJ-8 and I are running interference on the main assault wave. But it was Naruto who changed the nature of street-level combat entirely. He launched from the Wakeman house in an explosion of blue-suited fury. His orange bucket had somehow stayed perfectly placed as he moved at speeds that barely seemed possible. His whisker markings blazed with electric blue light, and electricity crackled around his entire form like a living aura. "Come on," he shouted, his voice carrying that infectious enthusiasm even in the midst of battle. "We can do this. Believe in it." A cluster of drones descended on the downtown district. Naruto met them head-on, his movements flowing and precise. He executed a combination that seemed pulled directly from the enemy.
I know, it should be believe it, but I didn't check that. That's the problem with AI. It doesn't do certain things right. Sorry.
He was based on, but upgraded for his mechanical nature. His blue suit glowed brightly as he gathered electrical energy, and he unleashed an attack that resembled a Rasengan, except it crackled with deadly blue voltage. The electricity spiraled outward in a perfect sphere, slamming into 3 drones at once. They exploded, their metal frames torn apart by the sheer force of the electrical discharge. Come on. Naruto laughed, his energy boundless. Is that all you got? More drones descended on his position. Without hesitation, Naruto reached into his backpack and pulled out a miniature form that immediately began to grow. Boss Toad expanded to 15 feet tall, his tiny amphibian form suddenly massive and terrifying. Despite his small stature moments before, his presence commanded respect. Boss Toad summoning technique. Naruto shouted, and the enormous toad launched into combat with the same enthusiasm as his creator. Partoad and Mortoad followed, their forms growing to manageable sizes, still small enough to navigate the streets, but large enough to be devastating in combat. They deployed their own attacks with practiced coordination, their crooks and rib-biting somehow conveying the same personality they had in the anime that inspired them. Gamabanta, the largest of the summoned toads, grew to nearly 30 feet tall. His enormous form became a moving fortress, his attack power exponential. Yeah. This is what we do. Naruto shouted.
I typed in Gagichi, but apparently I didn't spell that right, so it chose Gamabanta. Really am annoyed with that.
Blue suit practically glowing with pride as his companions fought beside him. We protect people. The toads moved through the drones like a coordinated assault team, leaping and striking with precision. They used futon attacks that created wind pressure capable of hurling entire drone formations across the city. Their tongues extended like weapons, striking with perfect accuracy. But the turning point came when Shinji made his move. He stood in an open plaza, his purple uniform making him look like a soldier stepping out of some 1960 science fiction show. His green beret sat perfectly on his head as his eyes closed. His hands began moving in precise patterns, not random gestures, but deliberate motions, like a conductor leading an orchestra. Then, from across the city, something massive began to rise. Battlebot Omega 1 emerged from a hidden silo, and it was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It was massive, easily 50 feet tall, with a design that evoked the classic Ultraman suit, but sleeker, more militaristic. Its purple chassis gleamed in the afternoon light, matching Shinji's uniform perfectly. Orange accents ran along its limbs and chest. Its face was angular and imposing, with optical sensors that glowed with intelligence and purpose. When it moved, it was with the grace and precision of a dancer, responding instantly to Shinji's mental commands with a synchronization that was almost supernatural. Everyone clear the plaza. Shinji's voice came from Battlebot speakers, calm and clear even as chaos reigned around them. The green beret somehow visible on the mecha's head. We have this area covered. The robot's movements were stunning, combining martial arts with weaponized precision. It flowed through the attacking drones like water, each movement economical and devastating. When a cluster of enemy fighters tried to surround it, the robot spun, its arm extending to strike 3 targets simultaneously. Then the energy weapons activated. Brilliant orange laser fire erupted from Battlebot's arms, cutting through enemy formations with surgical precision. The lasers painted brilliant lines across the darkening sky, each blast taking out multiple drones. The robot's shield, when deployed, created a protective barrier over the surrounding city blocks, a dome of shimmering energy that deflected incoming fire. Shinji stood in the center of it all, his purple uniform somehow making him look more stable, more grounded than the chaos around him. His hands continued their precise movements, conducting his mechanical masterpiece like a symphony of war and protection. But the turning point came when a familiar figure appeared in the sky above the downtown district. The Silver Shell. The robot hero of Tremoten descended in a spacecraft that transformed from a human suit into an angular UFO, its weapon systems online and ready. The suit itself was sleek and sophisticated, a design that seemed to pull from multiple eras of science fiction. When it was humanoid, it stood nearly as tall as Battlebot Omega 1, its armor gleaming in the firelight. It took positions alongside Jenny, and together they began systematically.
Alright, that's the end of part 5.